Anytime I get a chance to talk about the Eagles, who do really well on this channel, I'm up for it, especially the late great Randy Meisner, who sang Take It to the Limit. Talking to Moby Grape's Peter Lewis, I was surprised that the Eagles came up, but I went with it. Remember, Moby Grape were a band that should have been a lot bigger in the 60s. They played the Monterey Pop Festival along with Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix. They had great songs like 805, Omaha, Mr. Blues, or It's a Beautiful Day Today. We talked to Peter Lewis about the Eagles on Rock History Music.
You talk about Rick Nelson. I talked to Randy Meisner maybe 10 years before Randy died. And I know that through your second wife, you hung out with the Eagles and Don Henley. And what was your, before you talk about Don, but what were you, how well did you get to know Randy?
Well, Randy was he helped me do my first solo album. Randy was always kind of, like they wanted Randy, like they treated Randy kind of like a sideman, And why, I don't know. I think there was a personality conflict between him and Glenn, like who's going to be the star here, because whoever, was the publishing too. But Randy was like, he wanted to play with those guys because they were good. They were great. Randy had finding the guys that were good enough to play with him, was Randy's trip. I mean, he liked Rick Nelson and he liked playing with Rick, and that was cool. And, but I think he was still a sideman, but he still was a sideman in the Eagles. He's sort of like Bob Mosley. Bob was like that too. Bob was a terminal sideman. I don't know why he's like, he really doesn't want to, he had this tremendous voice, like Randy does too, bass player that can sing like crazy. But they don't want to get out in front.
I talked to Bernie as well. And Bernie kind of, he just, he says, I said, did you really pour a beer on Glenn Fry? Well, he just said that he did pour that beer on Glenn Fry's head.
Oh, and he said, Bob poured beer on my head. But
Bob Mosley?
Yeah, but he just laughed, Bob. He I don't know, Bob, I don't know, man. I don't want to equate those two guys, but they both had these great voices and they could play great bass. So everybody wants them in their band, And so they get like, what would that do to you? But somehow there is, like I say, man, it was maybe I wasn't like Glenn and Randy, me and Bob. We weren't like that. We were more like brothers, And I was his younger brother, and he could just pour a beer on my head if he wanted to, You know what I mean? I think with Glenn or Randy, it was like, or why would Randy do that? Because he didn't have that kind of personality at all.
With the band, I looked, and pardon my ignorance,
something must have got Randy good. I think it was an insult that he couldn't absorb.
But he didn't want to play Take It to the Limit live, and Glenn said, this is one of our biggest songs, and we made sure you had a hit. We wanted you to have a hit, and you've got to play it live. And even Randy admitted that to me, that he didn't really want to play it live anymore. And I mean, what am I going to tell Randy Meisner? Oh, you should have played it. It's his life. He's allowed to say no.
Yeah, right.
So.
Well, I mean, said, man, it's like, all you got to do is that pressure on you to do something. There's always something in your brain that doesn't want to do that, And that's I would say it's a survival mechanism that we got from those little arthropods that were swimming around in the sea. One grew an extra foot and got away from the rest of them. So there's this drive toward uniqueness. And I think that people's expectations of you exacerbate that little survival gene. And what the survival gene does is try to make you not live up to expectations. I mean, you could do a lot. You can do a lot of things to try to subdue that little impulse to just be unpredictable. It's like a thing about being unpredictable. It's like becoming Abraham Maslow. You know who he is?
Maslow's triangle. Oh my God. I mean,
Yeah.
I built my life on that was one of those things. I'm a big psychology junkie. So yes.
Yeah. Well, it would be like the highest, the what does he call it? The drive toward autonomy is like the highest in the top of the pyramid, you know? But people's preconception of you stifles that because nobody wants you to get any higher up on the pyramid.
Isn't that strange
Why?
on a primal level? That's such a big driving force.
Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. We have a swag store where you can buy a t-shirt, a t-top, a cap, or a coat with either Rock History Music, Rock History Book, or Rock History Canada if you're a Canadian. And if you want to make a donation to the channel, there's a PayPal link at the very top of the description of this video. And join our Patreon. You'll get early access to all our videos. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take care.